Hello everybody and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I really hope you're all doing okay and having a great day and an amazing week. My name is Effie and today we are testing Barry M Cosmetics. Barry M is a brand that I've wanted to test for the longest, pretty much since I started my channel. I just never got around to it. But I did pick up some stuff in a sale they had, I say recently, it's probably like 2 months ago at this point. And this is the full face, sorry I just knocked the camera. I have tested a lot of products. It's not fully Barry M, but most of it is, and I have tested quite a few products. So if you're interested in seeing my thoughts and feelings on it and how I created this look, then please do just keep on watching. If you enjoy this video, please give it a big thumbs up, and if you like my content, please consider subscribing. I put up 2 videos a week and it's all makeup content, so if that sounds like a type of thing, then this is the place for you. And I do test a lot of brands because I enjoy doing that, so if that's interesting, definitely hit the subscribe button. But I will let you enjoy the video. Let's make a start with Barry M, and honestly I'm so excited for this. I think I'm going to start with eyes just because I'm a touch worried about fallout. So we have the Sweet Caramel eyeshadow palette. It looks like this. It's been a while since I've really been interested in a neutral palette. This is how you get me interested in neutral palettes, because this technically is not neutral. There's a red, there's a yellow, there's an orange. That's not neutral. Neutral is brown. And oh, there's plastic bits in here, take that out. So yeah, this is the colour scheme. I'm thinking I'm not going to use the red today. I will show you what shades I'm using, but I'm going to just do a general normal smoky eye with some neutral shades. I don't have an eye primer to test from Barry M, so I'm just going to go in with a normal eye primer, and I will leave it linked in the description box in case you're interested in which one I'm using. But let's do that, and I'll zoom you in as well. Eyes primed and we are zoomed in, and I think I'm actually going to start with the lighter shade and work darkest, and for me that's going to be this yellow shade called Caramelized, which is a gorgeous yellow shade. I love yellow eyeshadow. That is such a gorgeous yellow shade. It's not too cool, but it's also not too warm. I would say this is like just the standard yellow. I was a little bit worried as I was putting it on that it wasn't going to be pigmented, but I will say if you just build it up and keep applying a few layers, it looks absolutely fine, and it builds up to a really nice intensity, which is great for a yellow because yellows aren't always the best. They can be a little bit powdery, a little bit lackluster, not as vibrant as you would want. But this one is absolutely fine. It does just take a little bit of building up, which is fine so long as you're aware of that. Now I'm going to go in with this shade up here called Candied, which is a brown shade and a nice light brown shade. I'm just going to take this over that yellow shade, but just a bit closer to my crease. That shade has gone on beautifully, and in my opinion that shade's gone on a bit better than that yellow shade did. It's got a good level of intensity, it's blending with that yellow shade beautifully. It's such a gorgeous orangey brown. Like, it's definitely a warmer tone, it's definitely got that warmth to it, but it's still not quite an orange in my opinion. And now to deepen it up a little bit more, I'm going in with the shade down here called Simmer. This is a bit more of an orange shade in my opinion, and again just going to run this through a little bit closer to my crease. On first impressions, this shade is very similar to the one we used before, but I will say it has more intensity. It's definitely more of an orange. It's a bit of a richer colour. It does look different on the eye, I would say, and it does add that little bit extra. All these shades are blending perfectly together. I did go back through the 3 shades to just blend them a little bit and re-intensify them, but they are blending so well completely by themselves. And the last matte shade we're going to use is this shade down here called Rich, which is the dark brown. And what I'm going to do is take this along my lash line and just ever so slightly through the crease as well. This isn't my favourite shade. I would say of the 4 that I've used so far, this is definitely my least favourite. It's gone on a little bit patchy, which could just be because it's no longer going straight onto an eye primer. It's going on top of those other shades, and therefore it's got nothing to stick to. But it does just look a bit patchy on my eye. It's a bit harder to blend out. I did have to go back in with pretty much all of the shades I'd used before just to try and get the blend to look a bit better, and I still don't think it looks amazing. I wonder if I should have started with my darkest shade and worked to lighter, but I don't generally like to do that with neutral palettes. I prefer to do that with colourful palettes so that I get intensity, whereas with neutral palettes I tend to prefer to just sort of give it a bit more of a diffused look. What I'll do is when I do my other eye off camera, I'll start darkest and work lightest and see if that makes a difference, and I'll let you know at the end. But what I'm going to do now is go in with some of the shimmers because they interest me a lot. There are 4 shimmers in this palette, 1, 2, 3, 4. I will say these 3 are all very similar. They're all goldy shades, which makes sense with the colour scheme of the palette. I'm probably not going to use all 4 today. In fact, I think Syrup is going to be the main one I use because I did swatch this and it is stunning. It's the best. So I'm going to go in with that mainly all over my lid. I'm going to go in with a little bit of golden, stunning, just on like the inner third, and then Frosting is going to go on my inner corner. Just in terms of swatching, Frosting is a bit more chunkier than the others. Syrup is the most opaque, and you know what, I'll swatch Treat as well just to compare all 4. So, Syrup is the most opaque, followed by Treat. Golden seems to be a little bit more like almost a topper but still has a little bit of base, and then Frosting is definitely the chunkiest. But we're going to try these 3 and we'll see how it looks. That first shade Syrup, as much as it looked incredibly opaque on my finger, it does seem to be giving me almost like a topper type appearance. And in fact, all 3 of these shades seem to do that a little bit. They seem to give a very diffused, glittery look, which I personally really like, but it's not always what I go for. The second shade Golden, I actually really like. It's got such a gorgeous champagne reflect and it looks absolutely stunning. I actually did just top that shade over the Syrup shade a little bit just to add a little extra dimension. And the shade Frosting has gone on my inner corner really nicely. Again, as much as it looks incredibly white in the pan, it's got such a gorgeous golden reflect that it doesn't look too stark on my inner corner, and I actually really quite like it. I think it's really nice. I actually quite like all 3 of these shades, and I think when I do my lower lash line I might put a little bit of Treat on there just to test that one as well. But there we go, that is the eye look. Very simple, very easy. I am actually going to leave the house with this makeup on, so I would like it to go well. But what I'm going to do now is go off camera and do the other eye. Like I said, I will do it darkest to lightest to see if that makes any difference in terms of the blending of that dark shade. But I'll let you know when I get back. I'll see you in a moment. Eyes are done, and I did do my other eye using the darkest to lightest method, and I will say I do think it made the brown work a little bit better. However, I prefer this look because when I do my eyes using the darkest to lightest method, I tend to go much further up because I just do, and I kind of prefer this look because it's not as blown out. I think I might try and fix that in a little bit, but for now let's just move on and do the rest of our makeup. So we're going to start with primer, and we have the Fresh Face Illuminating Primer. I have the shade Cool. They do have the shade Warm as well, which is a bit more golden, but I just thought this would suit my skin tone a little bit better, although I would say I have neutral undertones to my skin, which is a mix between cool and warm, but we'll see how this works. I'll be honest, I'm not sure if I like this primer. It's very heavily fragranced. Like, it's got like that perfumey talcum powder sort of smell. So yeah, very heavily fragranced, I would say. You can definitely smell it. It's a very thick cream. Like, it takes quite a bit of effort to like rub it into your skin. It has left my face feeling very smooth. It has given a glow to it, which is quite a nice glow. It's made my face feel lovely. There's no tack to it whatsoever. I'm not really sure what this primer is meant to do other than give you a little bit of a glow. I think it's meant to protect, brighten and plump skin. Okay, apparently you can mix it with foundation or a highlighter. I personally wouldn't do that. I wouldn't say it's given like a massive glow. I think it's given a nice sheen to the skin, which I prefer. I don't want anything to make me look like the Tin Man sort of thing. I think this has a really nice finish to it. The smell is a bit much. Like, I don't mind fragrance products, but this is a bit much. What I'm going to do now is go in with the foundation. I didn't pick up the Barry M foundation because when I did this order they didn't have it in my shade and I didn't want to do another order. So I'm just going to go in with the Revolution Pro foundation drops because this is one of my favourite foundations. I know I love it, so if there's something going wrong, I'll know it's the primer. and then when we come back I will test the concealer because I do have their concealer to test. Foundation is on. I do think it's looking a little bit more glowy than normal. It's not a particularly matte foundation anyway, so it doesn't completely mattify my skin. I think this looks quite nice, and I've just remembered I should have put this on at the start of the video, but we'll put some on now. This is the Lip Rehab Pink Grapefruit Tinted Nourishing Lip Mask. I'm just going to put some of this on. It does smell like grapefruits, which I actually really like. It has a silicone-y plastic type applicator, which I quite like. You can just wipe it off and put it away. It's very thick. It does have a tint to it. I don't think it's anything crazy. I think you could wear this and nobody would realise you have a tint on. But it is very thick. It feels very hydrating. I'm hoping it's going to hydrate my lips a little bit before I get around to putting my lipstick on. But for now, let's move on to concealer. This is the Fresh Face Perfecting Concealer with Hyaluronic Acid. I got the shade 1. And I'm going to be honest, this isn't that light in my opinion. It's also very yellow. So we'll put some of this on. I am going to attempt to put it under my eyes, but I'm also going to attempt to put it on my spots because I think it should do a decent enough job at covering. Yeah. I feel like it looks more light. I feel like it looks lighter on screen than it does on my face, but we'll give it a go. I think this concealer looks really, really nice under my eyes. I think it does just give the right amount of coverage. It's not loads of coverage, and also the fact that it's not too brightening helps as well because it's not looking completely stark against my skin. On my spots, I don't think it's doing loads. I don't think it's helping out loads. Like, I have other concealers that I prefer, but they're typically like pot concealers that are really thick and really do cover. So I do like it for under the eyes and over the majority of my face, but I don't like it on my spots, and honestly that's how I feel about most of my concealers in my collection. I don't think loads of them do a lot for covering spots. I will say it is creasing under my eyes, but I have pretty creasy under eyes, so that is completely normal. Overall, I think it's a fine concealer. I wish they sort of had a lighter shade just in case I did want to super brighten my under eyes. I think the coverage isn't super high. I would say it's like a medium coverage. It's very thin, very lightweight, easy to spread out and move, and I think it's generally a pretty good concealer in my opinion. Now, I would normally powder down, but we actually have a liquid blush to test. This is, again, the Fresh Face Cheek and Lip Tint in the shade Peach Glow. So what I'm going to do is just pop a little bit of this on the back of my hand, grab a brush and put it on my face. I do also have a powder blush to test, so we will test that once my face is powdered down, but we'll put this one on first. Ooh, that looks nice. I think it might be a bit too like peachy for this eye look, but I think it will be fine in the end. Hopefully. I actually quite like this product. I think it's gone on really nicely. It's not disturbed my foundation underneath, which I was a little bit worried that it would. It's definitely a little bit sheer, but I feel like you can build it up. I haven't added loads because, like I said, I do have a powder blush to test that we'll put on in a little bit. But I do think this is a really nice product. It's a nice shade. I think they have maybe 6 or 8 shades of this or something around there, which is quite good. And obviously liquid blush is such a on-trend product at the moment. I think this is a really nice one. It isn't too intense, it's not scary, a little bit gives you a nice flush of colour. I quite like it. I feel like you can't see it that well on camera, but that's just because the camera washes it out a little bit. So you can definitely see it in real life, don't worry. And I do think it's not perfect for this eye look, but it will do. Now we have a powder, and this is the Ready Set Smooth Oil Absorbing Anti-Shine Loose Setting Powder. I feel like this is in translucent because it is white, but it doesn't say translucent on it. There is a little mirror in the lid and a little powder puff. How do I get into the product? I've got into it, and it was a little bit difficult to get into. There was a sticker over it, but all I'm going to say is, surely this is just going to make a mess. And also, where am I meant to tip it into? I'm meant to tip it onto the mirror? I feel like this is bad packaging. Yeah, so I've just tipped some onto the mirror. We'll use it like this. That's absolutely fine, I guess. I'm just going to have to use my monitor as my mirror because I can't hold this and hold my mirror, and if I put this down it's going to go everywhere. So that's not ideal. I need to redo my under eyes. I think I've powdered everywhere. Honestly, that wasn't my best experience that I've ever had. My face definitely looks a lot more matte. I think a lot of the shine that I had before has been completely taken away by that powder, which is fine. It is an anti-shine powder. That's what I would expect it to do. Actually, looking at myself in the monitor, I think it does have a teensy bit of just a little bit of a glow, but it definitely looks matte. You can still see my blush through it a little bit. It's not boom pigment, but you can still see it. My face does feel completely set. It is a super finely milled powder. It's gone on really nicely. My biggest issue with it is the packaging, because you kind of have to tip it into the lid and you can't use the mirror then, and then you have to hold it because if you put it down it's going to go everywhere. It's just not ideal packaging in my opinion. Blush, we have the Heatwave Baked Marble Blusher. When I did my haul video, I couldn't figure out the name of the shade. The name of the shade is actually Sunray, but I pronounced it as like Heatwave Sunray Baked Marble. I thought that was the whole name, but when I looked online, the shade name is Sunray. So it looks like this. They have 3 of these. One is more pink, I think, and one maybe more red or purple, I can't remember. I have swatched this. It is stunning, and I think it's going to go really nicely with that peach blush we've already got on, but it's also very shiny, and I'm not the massive shiny blush fan, but let's pop some of this on. That is a really nice blush. As much as I was worried about the shine, I don't think it's given me too much. I also think it does look nice with the liquid blush underneath. I would say this is slightly more orangey and the liquid blush is a touch more pinky, but together they both look really nice. I actually really like it. I think it's really nice. I think it would look amazing in summer, and as I'm filming this it is September, so not going into summer anytime soon, but I do think it looks really nice. It gives you a nice glow to the skin. It's definitely not too highlightery, which is what I was a bit worried about. I actually really like it. I think that's quite nice, and I know a lot of brands are coming out with very similar bronzers because are they kind of a dupe of the like Hourglass ones or something, but I know Revolution Pro I think has very similar ones. But this is a really good one for a really cheap price. And now for bronzer, and again the shade is Tropical, but in my haul video I read it as Tropical Heatwave Powder Bronzer, but it's the Heatwave Powder Bronzer in the shade Tropical. And it looks like this, which looks like a decent bronzer shade for me. Let's put it on and chat about it. That is a very pigmented bronzer. I went in with way too much to start off with, which is what you would have just seen, but the way I like to do bronzer is I go in with a big fluffier brush and give like a diffused bronze pretty much everywhere, and then I go in with a more like smaller angled brush to give me a little bit more definition along my cheekbones and the sides of my forehead, and then I go in and add some bronzer to my nose and my lower lip, not as a contour, more just to bring the colours to those areas of my face that look plain without them. So yeah, it's a bit too pigmented first time round for that diffused look, but I think once I realised it was very intense, I went in with just one tap in the pan and it just came out a lot better. I was able to add the definition that I wanted, but again I think that's a bit too heavy-handed. I'm just going to try to blend that out a little bit. I think this is a good bronzer. I think they have 3 shades of this, and I think this is definitely the lightest one. For me personally, I would like something that is just the smidging smallest amount lighter. I think this is still just a bit too much for my skin tone, but obviously I'm very pale. Not everyone is as pale as me, and I think this is generally a pretty good bronzer that a lot of people would like. It's got a nice tone to it. It's not too yellowy. I would say it's not too yellow and it's not too orange. It is just a straight up brown, in my opinion. On my skin tone, it just looks like a brown. It's not an orangey brown, it's not a yellow brown, it's straight in the middle, and I think that's quite nice, and it's not something that I have loads of in my collection, so I do think it's really nice. And yeah, that's all I really have to say on it. Let's move on. What I'm going to do now, setting spray. What I'm going to do. I'm going to do some setting spray now, and we have the Fresh Face Fixation Setting Spray, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the eyeshadow test thing. So using the Sweet Caramel palette, I'm going to take that red shade that I haven't used yet, which is the shade Caramel Apple. I'm just going to swatch it on my finger. Beautiful red shade. Put it on my arm. And then I'm going to spray it with a setting spray just to see if it actually sets your makeup in place and makes it smudge proof, or if it's more just of a hydration type spray. I'm not going to drench it like I did with the last one. There we go. While that dries, I'm going to put some of it on my face as well. That's kind of an intense spray. I probably used a little bit too much, but that's absolutely fine. While my face and my arm dries, I am just going to go off camera, do my brows, mascara, lower lash line. Yeah. And highlight. I realise I haven't put highlighter on. I didn't pick up a Barry M highlight. I'm just going to put on any random one. Same with brows and mascara. I'm just going to put on any random one. They will be linked down in the description box in case you are interested. And then we'll come back. We'll test this and we will do my lips. I'll see you in a moment. I'm back and I have brows and mascara and highlight on and setting spray. So now it's time to test the setting spray, and all I'm going to do is just rub my finger over this eyeshadow, because if it is a fixing setting spray that is designed to fix your makeup in place, the eyeshadow will stay in place. If it moves and smudges and all that, then it's not really built for that, and I would say it's just more of a hydrating setting spray. I really hope that it's a fixing setting spray. Let's give it a good try. It's a fixing spray! I will say, I think a bit of the colour has come off, okay? Some of the colour has come off, but it's not smudged all over my arm, which is a good sign, because if my makeup comes off a little bit throughout the day, fine by me. That's what happens. That's makeup. It does that. I wear makeup all day long in work. For example, when I go into work on Tuesdays, I wear it for about 12 hours, which is a long time. Now I'm just rambling, but it's good to know that it is a fixing setting spray. I love fixing setting sprays. Now for lip products, and I'm going to quickly remove the lip rehab balm thing I have on. I actually really enjoyed the lip balm. It was very hydrating, very thick. You could feel it on your lips, but I quite like that. It smelled nice, but once it was on your lips, I couldn't really smell it. Yeah, I do think it's made my lips look a bit healthier, a bit more plump, soft, whatever. Time for lip products. And we do have a lip liner. This is the lip liner in dark pink. I'm gonna quickly put this on and talk about it, but I am very aware that I look very weird with just lip liner and no lipstick, so I won't stay like that for very long, I promise. I was a little bit concerned that there was no pigment coming out at first, but once it started to warm up, it's gone on very nicely. I didn't have to press too hard, but I did have to use a little bit of pressure, which is probably a good thing, because that means it hopefully won't wear down too quickly and you should get quite a lot of use out of it. In terms of the shade, I wouldn't really call this a dark pink. I would call this just like a standard pink shade, which is fine for me because I have a lot of pink lipsticks that I think this will go with. I'm not sure how well it's going to go with the lipstick that I've got to test today, but we'll find out. But I actually quite like the shade. It's very pink. I quite like the formula. I like that it's sharpenable. All good things. So far it's a pretty decent lip liner. Let's go in with the lipstick, and this is the satin lipstick in the shade 227 Lustering. Let's open her up. Which looks like this, which is another pinky tone, so hopefully it'll go nicely with the lip liner. That is such a stunning colour. I think the pink lip liner is making it look slightly more pink than it actually is, but I really enjoy it. I think the formula is really nice. It is definitely a satin. Like, I would say you need to go over it maybe 3 times to get full opacity, but you can get it because I've got full opacity right now. It's nice and soft. It's not too like slippery, but it feels really light and hydrating on the lips. I actually quite like it. I'm not sure that the shade is perfect for me, but I still think I quite like it. Also, it smells amazing. I can't quite put my finger on what it smells like, but it's definitely a sweet smell, as I think most lipsticks are. Yeah, I quite like it. I don't think it's perfect for this eye look, and when I go out the house, I might change my lipstick to something a bit more neutral. but for now it is absolutely fine. And now we have a bit of a weird one to test. This is the Barry M Pout Protect Lip Colour Setter. I have never tried anything like this, but apparently it's meant to set your lipstick in place. Or whatever you say, Barry M. But let's give it a go. I picked this up literally just because I was so curious about it. I've ripped the box. Okay. To me, it looks like some sort of nail product, but I'm going to put it on my lips. Let's see if does it have any instructions. Step 1, after applying your lip paint and liner of choice, lightly blot off any excess, okay, and then evenly apply the Pout Protect directly to your lips, including the edges, to create a seal. Keep lips separated until fully dry. Okay, there are instructions. So I'm just going to take a little bit of toilet roll. Don't ask me why it's in my room. I just keep some in here for emergencies. Blotted off the excess. Step 1 complete. Step 2 is put this on, and then afterwards I won't be able to speak for a little bit, so... Oh, I'm scared. I'm going to be honest, this does not smell or feel like something you should be putting on your lips. It literally smells like something I would put on my nails. Which isn't exactly what I want. And it also like stung, just a smidge, just a tiny amount. It did just sting. Oh, it did just sting a little bit, but... That looks like transfer, but it's definitely from like the inner part of my lips, which I might not have put any on. Now, there's some on my finger as well. I don't think it's great. I feel like, okay, let's get real. I feel like what it would do is it would prolong the wear of your lip colour. I think it would help to keep some of your lip colour on there a bit longer. I don't think it's gonna magically make your lip stay on forever. I think it will help, but it won't fix any problems. But in terms of, it honestly smells like something you should not be putting on your lips, which is a little bit concerning. But obviously no harm done. I mean, a little bit of stinging, but that's fine. So yeah, there we go. That is my full face of Barry M, I think. I'm pretty sure. In terms of, I was going to say, let's do top 3, bottom 3. But I don't think there's anything I didn't really like. I mean, the powder is fine, but I don't like the packaging. The concealer is great, but I wish they had a slightly lighter shade. The blush and bronzer are fine. The liquid blush I really like. I might pick up some more shades of that. The setting spray, big thumbs up from me. Even the primer I quite like. I guess the lip pout thing I don't think is 100% worth it. The eyeshadow palette I really like. Yeah, overall, pretty positive video, which makes me very happy because I now have to leave the house. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. Let me know if there's anything from Barry M you think I need to try, because obviously they have so many more products than I've tested today, and I'm happy to test out some more. Let me know if you've ever tried anything from Barry M, and let me know if you liked it. But other than that, I will let you go. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a big thumbs up. If you like my content, please consider subscribing. I put up 2 videos a week and it's all makeup content, so if that sounds like a type of thing, then this is the place for you. But other than that, I'll let you go. Have a great day, an amazing week, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.